recognized in succession. First, Senator Cornyn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Judge, I want you to do me a favor. Will you nerd out with me a little bit?
I will try, Senator.
And we'll start with stare decisis.
Yes.
And I've never figured out why lawyers speak in Latin rather than in English when describing these concepts by which judges apply precedent. But would you agree with me that even under an appropriate stare decisis analysis, that Dred Scott and Plessy versus Ferguson were appropriately overruled by the Supreme Court?
Well, Senator, I've not engaged in the actual analysis, but I think it is well established now that the cases that overruled Dred Scott and Plessy were correctly decided.
Yeah, I mean, there is a means by which the courts can correct their mistakes, correct? By overruling previous decisions?
If the various considerations that the Supreme Court has uses to make that determination are satisfied.
Have you ever heard a federal judge talk about super duper precedent or super precedent?
I have not.
I've never seen it either in any opinion. I've heard it here in the Judiciary Committee on a number of occasions when somebody has a favorite case or outcome that they don't want to see the Supreme Court revisit. Let me ask a minute. Obviously, your nomination by President Biden is historic, and I congratulate you again, congratulated you previously, and I think it's been long overdue. When Clarence Thomas, the second African-American who was nominated to and confirmed by the Supreme Court, was nominated to the court, did you celebrate that as a historic event?
I'm trying to remember where I was at the time. I believe I did, yes.
When we're talking about staying in your lane, and I appreciate your responses to a number of the questions, even though I'd love to get your answer to the question, but where you've deferred answering, saying you want to stay in your lane and not be seen as a policymaker. Would you agree with me that one of the most important questions under our constitutional form of government and the separation of powers is who decides? In other words, some questions are appropriately decided by judges who are unelected, serve for life, insulated from politics, and other decisions are appropriately within the left up to the legislative branch because we are accountable to the people who can vote for us, they can vote against us if they don't like the policies that we enact in legislation. Would you agree that who decides is an important question in terms of determining the appropriate role for both the judiciary and the legislature?
As a general matter, I agree. It rarely comes directly like that as an issue. It's usually not a jump ball between the legislature and the executive.
I get it. You don't get a lot of easy questions.
Well,
but you, as a general proposition, you won't disagree with me.
What I'd say is that the courts are properly tasked with resolving legal questions. And that,
cases or controversies, right?
Exactly, in every case. And
Congress is not similarly constrained. We can pass broad policies, comprehensive legislation, changing policy, but the difference is, one of the differences is the voters can unelect us if they don't like what we're doing.
That is true.
I want to ask you, did you study under Lawrence Tribe when you were at Harvard?
I did not.
Well, as you know, Justice Breyer, your mentor, wrote a little book called Active Liberty. And Lawrence Tribe, who was formerly a law professor at Harvard, wrote a review of that book in the New York Times Review of Books, and the title of it is Politicians in Robes. Are you familiar with that article?
I'm not.
Well, in the article, Professor Tribe accuses Justice Breyer of engaging in what he calls a noble lie. And he talks about the morality of resorting to falsehoods and delusions to conceal, usually from the masses, but sometimes from oneself, the truths whose revelation would wreak havoc or at least do more harm than good. Professor Tribe goes on in criticizing Justice Breyer's book. He says in his stubborn avowal that the court, even with its current far-right supermajority, remains an apolitical body, he perpetuates a lie that is anything but noble. You've talked about staying in your lane, not making policy decisions, not being seen as political. Do you agree with Justice Breyer or with Professor Tribe?
Senator, I believe that judges are not policymakers, that we have a constitutional duty to decide only cases and controversies that are presented before us, and within that framework, judges exercise their authority to interpret the law and not make the law.
So you would agree with me that judges should not be politicians?
Yes.